Sigma has just announced a new Sigma 35mm f1.4 DGDN art lens for Sony mirrorless camera, like especially designed for mirrorless cameras. And check this out, thanks to my friend who is like Sigma ambassador, I've got to play around a little bit with this lens while I was shooting some b-roll for his tests. And then we used my 35 1.4 G Master to compare it with, but we also compared it with 35 1.2 Sigma lens. So I'm happy to share with you all those results. So hope you're ready, fasten your seatbelts and let's go. What's up everyone, my name is Magic, I'm a wedding photographer, Sony Europe ambassador, a father of 4 children, and welcome to my YouTube channel, the channel that is mostly about photography, weddings, and gear. Consider subscribing if you're into any of these topics. Okay, so Sigma 35 1.4 DGDN art. It's really interesting to have that lens. Like at this point, we have so many 35s for Sony on the market. We have at least 4 from Sony themselves, then we have now 4 from Sigma too, I think, and then we have some Samyangs, Tamrons, and like all these other, third-party companies making native lenses from Sony. So if you are a Sony shooter shopping for a 35mm lens, there's plenty to choose from. The 2 top of the line, at least so far, were 35 G Master and a 35 Sigma 1.2. By the way, I compared these two in like a separate video, so you might want to check this out on my channel. The link is down here in the description. And now we get to check this new DGDN lens, which is priced lower because around $1,000. So it's like, at least in terms of a price point, it's like the lower and lens, but it's really interesting to see how it compares to the top 2 lenses. But before we get into that, let's just quickly cover the design of that new Sigma lens. So we got this new like kind of refreshed art design. We know it already from Sigma 85 DGDN and kind of from Sigma 35 1.2. So we get aperture ring that is the clickable, so there is switch that you can have like a smooth operation or a clickable operation depending if you want to shoot video or you just want to shoot photos and you want to know when they click. And then you also can lock this aperture at auto. This is really cool. So when you switch to A, you can lock it and it won't move anywhere. And then what we have more? We have like 1 custom hold button and then AF to MF switch. In terms of the size of this lens, like I'd compare it to a Zeiss Distagon 35mm 1.4 lens. So it's like in this mid-size kind of thing. It's not as small as a 35 1.4 G Master from Sony, and definitely it's not as big as like a 35 1.2 from Sigma. So it's kind of, they're in the middle. It's a little bit heavier than G Master, but I wouldn't consider this lens a big lens. It does feel good when shooting with it. It's not too heavy, it's not too big. So now let's look at the performance of this lens. So first of all, both me and my friend were shooting with A7R free cameras, so we are looking at a 42 megapixel files. And first, let's take a look at the portraits that he shot testing this lens. So all of these photos that we are now looking at are his. You can find his Instagram down here if you want to go follow him. He's a great dude. He's a godfather of my children, by the way, and I am godfather of one of his, so yeah, that's cool. Go give him a follow. So yeah, let's look at these photos. They all look amazing. They look like a 35 1.4 proper, images. We have beautiful background blur. We have very nice isolation of the subject from the background. The lens seems very sharp and the bokeh seems very nice and round. So it's everything that you would expect from a 35 1.4. The chromatic aberration, they're definitely visible, but they're pretty standard for a lens like this. And then does it flare? It kind of does. Like like all of these new lenses, they are designed not to flare. So all the flares that you will achieve with them are going to be like the little flaws of them. So looking there, like 2 photos that Tomasz took with it, you can see that interesting strip of light. So that's something, I guess. But the most interesting part of this whole video is the comparison to a G Master and to a 35 1.2 lens. So let's look at the photos that we've shot together from a tripod, again on A7R3. All of these photos are edited by me, and I try to match the colors and match the look, so we kind of can look at these images and decide what is the difference, like regarding the image itself. Okay, so point number 1, sharpness. All 3 of the lenses that we've tried are sharp. Although the G Master, takes the crown here, this is truly one of the sharpest lenses that I've ever tested, and it seems to be sharper than both 35 1.4 DGDN and 35 1.2 DGDN. And those two, so both Sigmas, seems to be on pair with sharpness. So if you've seen the images from 35 1.2 or you own 35 1.2 lens, the 35 1.4 won't disappoint you. It's the same level of sharpness. Like the biggest difference in terms of sharpness that I've seen on these images, there are a few images that we've shot with the subject being subject meaning Tomasz, my friend, being farther away from the lens, and in these images it looks like the both Sigmas are even less sharp than before. So shooting at a close distance, they all seem sharp, with Sony being a little bit sharper. But then when looking at these photos with a bigger distance from the subject, like Sony seems to be much sharper than these images. I've noticed that when comparing Sony G Master versus Sigma 35 1.2 before in my previous video, but now I see that again, and I actually have a theory why it might be like this, but I'll talk about this one a little bit later in the video. In terms of the overall look and the bokeh and the blurs, I like 35 1.4. Both 35s 1.4 again seems very, very similar. And now we're looking at my studio set, so my Lego set, Qui-Gon Jinn, with the background of my bokeh balls. And check this out, like both 35s 1.4 like seems to be very similar bokeh balls, quite round, not much of onions in their chromatic aberrations. So to be honest, Sigma really performs well here. We do see again that difference of the sharpness, but in a shot like this, it's not as visible as in the previous photos with the distance. So here I have to say, good job, Sigma. This lens performs really great. And now the point number 3, which is the performance in terms of, AF system performance. So Sony GM is equipped with linear motors that Sony claims are the fastest motors there are. And then there is Sigma, and check this out. It looks like when comparing them 1-to-1, moving back and forth its focusing range. So focusing close and then focusing farther away and then back again, focusing close with AFC. It seems that Sigma, does this move from back to forth faster than Sony G Master. So like, are the motors faster here actually? Maybe. It does look like it, at least. And then, in terms of the performance, so all the eye tracking features, they both seem to be tracking pretty well. So that's really impressive to see how fast the AF motors are in the Sigma lens, which is not, the top high-end lens. So these are, blazing fast. The question is, are they accurate? And that is kind of what I started to, thinking about those shots from the farther distance. So if you actually look at these images, you might be like, hey, Magic, you just missed the focus in these images. But then I'm like, I've shot them on tripod and the subject wasn't moving and I was using AFC, eye focus. It's really hard to miss the focus in images like this. So I kind of got this idea that possibly maybe, those Sigma lenses are not so well calibrated in that mid-range focusing distance with Sony bodies as the Sony lens. Because Sony lens is like super sharp, even if the subject is farther away. So it might be that the AF motors are really fast in the Sigma lenses, but somehow, you know, they don't shoot, I don't know, they don't stop the right moment. Like, I have no bloody idea how this works. So that's my guess. Let me know, what do you guys think about it? And now point number 4, let's look again at the you know, studio shot with Lego sets. This time you know, I was focusing on the corner of the image and kind of comparing distortion, comparing the sharpness near the edges. So Sigma 3514 DGDN seems to be very well corrected. It doesn't have that distortion that we know that Sigma 3512 has, like massive distortion that you can see in this image. Now Sigma 14 DGDN, it's more straight, so it's very well corrected. Then let's look at the Sony. Sony seems to be even more flat there at the bottom, but you know, the difference is small. So again, well done Sigma for doing that with your 14 DGDN lens. And in terms of sharpness, because I was focusing on the corner, on these guys on the left, so you can see that definitely both of them are really sharp in that left bottom corner. Okay, so let's take this home. So what we have here is we have two top lenses from both Sony and Sigma. We have Sony 3514 G Master and a Sigma 3512 that have the same kind of price range, around $1,500. Actually, Sigma is a little bit more expensive. So you can get either this magical 1.2 aperture lens that is heavy, big, it's not super well corrected, but it gives you that magical image, or you can get like the most perfect Sony 35 G Master that is super corrected, that is super sharp on, you know, full range, that AF works amazing. And then it's all in the compact, small and very lightweight body. And then we have, you know, the lower shelf around $1,000 price point, which we have now size Disticon 3514 and a very similar size Sigma 3514 DGDN, which kind of, I think it's a great price for the lens like this. You get almost everything you would get from a G Master, but you know, you get slightly bigger body, you get slightly less sharp image. You can definitely see that you are missing some of the stuff that you have with G Master, but then, you know, at the end you have very similar image. So it all depends on, you know, what is your budget and what exactly do you need from a lens. And then even lower, you have a bunch of other, you know, 1.8s, all the other 1.4s that I think like this Sigma blows them out of the water, maybe with exception on 35 1.8 from Sony. That is, you know, amazing for its price. It's cheap and amazing, and it might be, you know, the king of this, you know, small, tiny 35s. So you have plenty of 35 to use. And my question to you guys, what would be your choice for your 35mm lens for Sony? Obviously I went for 35 G Master because I love the combination of a small body and exceptional performance. That actually should be, you know, a tagline for Sony G Masters, you know, small and awesome. But yeah, what would be your choice? Let me know down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much and see you in the next one. Ciao!